on FS1.
Thanks,
Crystal
guys.
Dunn and the U.S. women's national team getting set right now in Minneapolis to tee it up with Switzerland, #1 versus #15. By all accounts, she is primed to be a major player for the U.S. at the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup in France. But what of the future of the team's current go-to player? Carly Lloyd, next on Hope Solo, the national anthem, and when her career will come to a close, we know one thing about Carly Lloyd: she is committed.
It's going to be over in a blink of an eye, and I want to have no regrets looking back. I want to enjoy every moment.
Carly Lloyd, the first U.S. player to score 15 or more goals in 3 consecutive calendar years. She's now just 6 goals away from becoming the 6th U.S. player to hit 100 goals. Our pregame show is sponsored by AT&T. Just 2 summers ago, Carly Lloyd officially took over the mantle as the best women's player on the planet, courtesy of her commanding performances in Canada en route to the U.S., claiming the FIFA Women's World Cup title. It led to international opportunities and fame and recognition beyond what she could ever imagine. But in the end, Carly Lloyd is still all about the game and being true to herself, as our Jenny Taft found out.
Carly, in the book, you talk a lot about sacrifices, and I love the title because I think there's so much that goes into being a member of the national team.
The title is really, when nobody was watching. It's basically all of the moments behind the scenes where I was working on holidays, out in the snow, just doing everything possible to get to the top.
I love the first line. I don't do fake.
I think I've been a little misunderstood over the years. I maybe had a strut or an air about me. I think now people really get me. So the I don't do fake is exactly what it says. I'm real, I'm genuine, I'm loyal, I have people's backs. I do like to steer away from the drama because I think it sort of takes your focus away from going out there and getting the job done.
There have been distractions. If you think about Hope Solo, when we talk about Megan Rapinoe and her kneeling during the anthem, you guys have had to deal with a lot of attention from the media with a lot of different angles.
Yeah, it's been a lot. I know Megan feels very strongly about why she's kneeling. I've had several conversations with her and totally respect what she's doing. I think with Hope's situation, it's a sum of a lot of things that have kind of happened throughout her career.
You two are close on and off the field. Do you see her coming back?
I'm not sure. I know that she's, wanted to start a family. She has this surgery that she's, recuperating from. So I'm not sure. She's one of the best goalkeepers of all time, probably the best that will ever suit up in that position. And hopefully in 6 months' time, they can, work it out between her and U.S. Soccer, and she can rejoin the team.
There is always competition. There's always someone else who's trying to get in the mix. How challenging is that as a teammate?
There's going to be new faces. There's going to be motivation and hunger in these players. They haven't experienced this yet, so they're going to be fired up and ready to go. And you mix that with some of the players that have been around, and it's going to be great.
You said that you are the future.
This is what the U.S. needs.
The future looks good.
Williams for the first international goal.
There are going to be some tough moments for players. There's going to be change. There's going to be cuts. I think Jill has been very transparent. These next couple of years is based solely on performance. It doesn't matter if you've won a World Cup or if you're FIFA World Player of the Year. You have to perform. I have to perform.
Carly Lloyd has delivered again.
Will this be your last cycle with the national team?
Yes, that's the plan. 2020, finish up at the Olympics in Tokyo. Hopefully another World Cup win, another Olympic win.
World Player of the Year. It is the Carly Lloyd Show.
There's the hat trick for Lloyd. She's a warrior.
It's going to be over in a blink of an eye, and I want to have no regrets looking back. I want to enjoy every moment. It's always an honor to suit up. I never want to take this for granted. They're just amazing moments every time I step on the field.
31 goals in her last 33 matches. That captain's armband affixed to her bicep. But what is the future on this team for Carly Lloyd?
Well, right now, Carly Lloyd is the best player in the world. She's the captain of the team. She's one of the leaders. I mean, who can tell if she's still on the team in 2020? But she's a big-time player, and when she's playing well, and she's playing well, she's unstoppable. When she's not playing well, she can be sometimes a liability, but I think she's kind of moved past that in her career now. She's adding to her game. She's become a better passer. She's not just a scorer. And don't forget, she's the greatest clutch scorer in big-time games in the women's.
Greatest, better than Mia, better than Michelle.
Big games, Michelle Akers and Carly Lloyd are the two greatest. You got to give Carly Lloyd the edge because she's won 2 Olympic Games with goals and her hat trick in the 2015 World Cup.
Jill Ellis has had to deal with a lot of stuff over the last couple of years, and it's not just coaching, it's managing. I'm curious to hear, and I know you've talked about it a little bit, and we heard it in the piece with Carly where she talked about the situation with Hope and the situation with Megan. If you were the coach during those times, how would you have dealt with? Because this isn't AYSO. This isn't everybody plays. You saw Carly talk about how you have got to perform, but there's also a recognition that sometimes, you know, if it's a good player, you have to deal with some of the stuff and some of the baggage that comes with these players. How would you have dealt with something like Megan in terms of kneeling for the national anthem, or Hope Solo in a continual type of basis?
Yeah. Very complicated situations, but I know that Jill Ellis has said to me, I'm looking to make camps and tournaments less complicated. I mean, Hope Solo, to be honest, needed to be sorted out a number of years ago. There's a culture within the U.S. national team. She needed to be fit in or move on. Now, because she was so good, the best goalkeeper probably ever to play in the women's game, she's been kept around. I think they need to create a path for her to get back on the team, but it shouldn't be with the U.S. national team. It should be now with the Seattle Reign or with whatever professional team she plays with, so she has a path to come back in. Right now, Nair and Harris should be getting the bulk of all the caps. As far as Megan Rapinoe, I believe in America you should have the opportunity to protest, and I respect her protest when she played for the Seattle Reign. But when you make a decision to come in and play for the USA, wear their colors, then I think you need to stand for the national anthem. It's just my opinion. But what makes America great is the fact that you can protest.
Back to Carly Lloyd real quick. This will be her final game of the calendar year for the U.S. women's national team. She will not be playing in the 2 November games versus Romania because she's getting married. So early congratulations to Carly Lloyd and her husband-to-be. Minneapolis, the scene for the U.S. and Switzerland. That beautiful new stadium, the home of the Vikings. Big crowd on hand for the U.S. and Switzerland. That one's next on FS1. And when that one is done, we're back out here to Los Prior to this week, these two countries hadn't met since 2015, where this happened.
Abby Wambach, that's why she's the best goal scorer in international soccer history.
While many of the names on the back of the jerseys may have changed, it's up to Jill Ellis to get the new crop of talent to play for the crest on the front of it.
The shot scores. U.S. is on the board. The header, goal. So good in the air. Back in a shot and a goal for the United States for Carly Lloyd.
From Minneapolis, Minnesota, it's the United States and Switzerland next on FS1.
Unstoppable.
Minneapolis, Minnesota is up for this one here today at US Bank Stadium. Both teams getting set to make their way out here. If the introductions are any indication, Ali Wagner, these fans are really relishing this moment to see the U.S. women's national team for the first time again in 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be relishing in this moment, especially when you're seeing these new faces and new names that maybe you haven't heard of if you haven't been watching the NWSL, but these players earn their spot. They earn their right to be in this starting 11, and in the likes of a Lynn Williams and the likes of an Andy Sullivan from Stanford University, and they're going to see an exciting team, a team that looks like they're free and ready to play, and this stadium is ridiculous in how it reverberates the sound, so it's going to be an exciting environment.
United States women's national team in Switzerland, they met 5 days ago in Sandy, Utah. A number of players, 5 in fact, earning their first cap. And in that game, 4 second-half goals led to tremendous excitement from the fan base, all being kept in the context of, remember, these are friendlies. And it's not until the year of 2019 that we get into another World Cup. Let's lay out, starting with the national anthems. Switzerland first.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of Switzerland. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome Stephanie Barone to sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
United States in the quarterfinals of the Olympics, eliminated by Sweden, and now looking to expand their player pool here and move forward towards the 2019 World Cup in this cycle in France. Let's go down to Jenny Taft with U.S. Women's National Team coach Jill Ellis.
Well, Jill, you've said this time is about experimenting. We've got new faces in the lineup, a relatively new formation for you, and key players in different positions. What are you watching for?
I mean, just their decision making, execution. I think now is the time to obviously give players that freedom and the energy to just try different things. And everyone that stepped in has done a fantastic job for us. So I'm just excited to let them go out there and play and make decisions. Good luck to them. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Jenny, and our thanks to Jill Ellis. Good luck here at the U.S. Women's National Team. Again, the captain, Carly Lloyd. Let's go to the U.S. starting lineup here tonight. Again, it's a 3-5-2 alley, and again, there's experimentation in the air.
There is, and you wouldn't think it's experimentation, but Ashlyn Harris is only getting her second cap of the calendar year in goal from Orlando Pride. And in that back line, Allie Long gets the start again at the center back. Becky Sauerbrunn makes her way to the right. And Casey Short starts in the back instead of the midfield, as she did on Wednesday. And then Andy Sullivan gets the nod again in this defensive center mid role. Kelly O'Hare outside on that right. That's her sweet spot where she likes to bomb up and down the flank. Crystal Dunn in that 10 spot. Something that is going to be a flowing position between her and Carly Lloyd throughout this game, and then Lynn Williams earns her first start. The Golden Boot winner from the NWSL plays for the Western New York Flash, and she was a revelation in that.
Canada in 2015. Gael Tallman will get the starting goal, the veteran.
Will, and even though this is still somewhat of a depleted starting 11, they get two starters back, and one of them is in midfield, and that's Vanessa Bernauer. She's an experienced player, and then outside, Marone is a young 19-year-old. Zender is a 19-year-old, and then up top, the face we wanted to see on Wednesday, she's back in action. Lair Dickerman getting the start. Exciting player to watch, one of the best players in the world, currently plays for Wolfsburg.
Dickerman had some ties, as mentioned, to Ohio State, where she played 4 years of college soccer. This is an absolutely gorgeous stadium here, the US Bank Stadium. As Carly Lloyd and Ali Long leading out the US here. They're in that tricolor strip, the dark blue. It's Martina Voss Tecklenburg. Well, if you want to raise the profile of your country in soccer, go hire a German coach, and they did. Martina Voss Tecklenburg has really been a proponent of moving the game forward and has qualified them not only for the World Cup in 2015, but also now the European Championships. Sweden in white. Your referee is Margaret Domka. Game on in Minneapolis, the United States and Switzerland. As Becky Sauerbrunn will get the first touch of this game to Ali Long. Now in Sandy, Utah on Wednesday, Ali, Switzerland did not get a lot of pressure on the U.S. back three. Do you think they can achieve that today?
I don't think that's going to be the goal again. I mean, without that starting five, when you don't have a Bachman, when you have a Trnaganovic, there's certain players that we're missing. Dickerman is back in that lineup. She can be a part of that pressure, but ultimately I think what they're looking to do is still sit back, keep it tight defensively, and strike when they can.
Over the top, the offside flag is up, and Ali mentions two very important players not here. Ramona Bachman, one of the top players in the world, ID'd herself to the world during that 2015 Women's World Cup. And of course, Anna-Marie Trnaganovic, also a big piece of this team. So with those two out, a big challenge for Switzerland.
But I do think just the insertion of Dickerman can help change the profile of the way this team plays. I mean, oftentimes you need just one player to settle things down, to read what is being asked of in that moment, and she's that player who can do it.
Short will knock it back. Ali Wagner had a great conversation with her out in Utah, where she talked about, well, I've never played the position before, but I certainly want to stretch my versatility to be like some of the other players on the women's national team. Lynn Williams now lays it on. The offside flag is up on O'Hara. Williams spectacularly came on to earn her first cap on Wednesday and scored 49 seconds in.
And one of the things she does so well is her ability back to goal, and that was a revelation. But this is just a nice slip pass by Lloyd into Williams, running off that center back. O'Hara just a bit eager, gets in early. But that's what you want to see from the U.S. It's those penetrating passes and runs off the ball.
Artificial surface here. Crystal Dunn will help it on. The United States on the attack. Bryant. Tobin Heath shot is parried away by Tallman. So the United States picking up where they left off in the second half in Sandy, Utah. It is an onslaught so far.
And even that was so pretty. The movement of Tobin Heath off that left flank to come inside. Morgan Bryant receiving that ball off of the player. I mean, just a lot of moving parts and fluidity in that one build-up and attack, and we're only 2 minutes in.
Gael Tallman was very busy 5 days ago, and we expect her to be busy again here tonight. Switzerland, the zonal defense of this corner. In it comes. It's headed out by Kiewicz. And maybe a chance to counterattack near. Agbagun. Dickerman making the overlapping run now. She was a late scratch on Wednesday. Was penciled into the starting lineup. Didn't make it because of the calf injury. And here's Dickerman getting a good cross in. And that is a bit of a warning shot that an experienced veteran back in the lineup for Switzerland.
And in that initial game on Wednesday, Agbagun would get the ball in space and not have a partner out there to connect with. And that was a perfect example of just her and Dickerman linking up and creating something out of nothing, really. So I think the U.S. is going to be under more pressure defensively this game. Not necessarily high press, but offensively, I think Switzerland is going to be able to move the ball and gain some ground up the field.
Sauerbrunn, Williams. Little knock taken there by Sullivan. Williams over the top now. We know she has pace and strength. It's on display right now. Carly Lloyd will spear it into the box, nearly an own goal. One off a Swiss defender, and it'll be a corner for the U.S.
I mean, you talk about freedom to play, what Jill Ellis is giving these players, and this is a beautiful example of it. The movement, the ability to sense where you need to go for the U.S. and take advantage of it. And then Switzerland on the flip side. I mean, that's just a cute little 1-2 almost on the outside and a good ball in with a runner in the box, which they didn't have on Wednesday night. They weren't getting numbers forward.
Curling ball just outside the penalty spot. It's knocked the back inside by Andy Sullivan. Heath will float it in. Long is in there. She gets dragged down. It's cleared by Switzerland for the moment. It's a shooting opportunity. It's a good hit and handled. But it comes from Andy Sullivan, the college player out of Stanford who starts for the second consecutive game.
She had a strong performance on Wednesday. I mean, I thought she dictated play in that midfield, and this is her. I mean, she just takes a half volley, and there's traffic in front of Tolman, but she had clear sight to that ball, so an easy save.
Out of 5 days, you're picking up your second cap here. It's a milestone sort of moment for Andy Sullivan. Again, one of 5 players who got their first cap. Casey Short, Lynn Williams, Abby Dahlkomper, and Ashley Hatch also getting their first cap this past Wednesday in Utah.
And that's something that's rarely happened in the past. A player comes in, earns her first cap, earns her first start, and then is rewarded with a second one.
Heath now has picked up the ball in a central area. Now he's going to run it out wide here. Tobin Heath, who's had an outstanding year both for club and country. Dunn. It's a decent cross, and it's a tester. It's parried away. Left-footed volley is over the top from O'Hara. But how about Crystal Dunn with a little change of pace and that delivery?
That's one of her strengths, and that's why Jill Ellis likes her in the 10. And she's just in a little pocket of no one sees her there, and that's a great ball in. Height is not a friend to Tolman, but she's able to get up for that one. Redirects in a dangerous area, but U.S. is not able to capitalize.
So disruptive is Crystal Dunn. 43rd cap today. 16 goals, and this is a great ball bent in. It's Dickerman. She'll get a shot off. That's parried away. The rebound. It's 1-0 Switzerland. Against the run of play, they have beaten Ashlyn Harris, and Laura Dickerman has made herself known here already, only a few minutes in.
And Glenn, what did I say to you before the game kicked off? I said I think Switzerland's going to be able to find one today, and this is, as you said, against the run of play. Just a nice inside-out run. Past Agbagun, and that's Dickerman. She's a player when she gets in the final third, knows what to do. Make Ashlyn Harris make a save, and Ashlyn just can't get up to make that second save. It's parried in a dangerous area. O'Hara's beaten to this ball. And this is perhaps one of the weaknesses of the 3-5-2. O'Hara getting back into that space is ultimately beaten to it by number 20, Marone. And that's just a quick counter and something that, you want these weaknesses of a system exposed so you can ultimately learn from them. And I think this is an example of what a 3-5-2 can potentially offer to the opponent.
Marone is only 19 years of age. This is only her 4th appearance for Switzerland. Biggest goal of her life. Just scored as the Swiss have a 1-0 lead here in Minneapolis. Marone came on for 62 minutes in Utah on Wednesday.
And Sender, who made that inside-out run on that flank to initially set up Dickerman, she's one of the revelations of this trip for Switzerland. She's a young player and someone that Tecklenburg was extremely excited about her performance in the previous match. She's only 19 years of age.
Sauerbrunn to Ali Long. But just seeing Dickenman out there just makes you think that Switzerland has more thrust and more danger on the counterattack, which we really didn't see on Wednesday in Utah.
No, and it was funny when we spoke with them. You know, Tecklenburg said, look, when we're used to playing a pressing style, we're used to winning the ball high up on the field and capitalizing that way. But when we win it so low in this low pressure system they're implementing against the U.S., they've got a lot further to go. So they've got to be cleaner with their touches, with their passes, and get more numbers forward. And that was a great break for them.
Sauerbrunn is fouled.
And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Dickenman and Bernauer, them being absent in that first game, shifted a lot of players around the pitch, and so they weren't playing in their best positions. And Switzerland did look out of sorts offensively.
Agbegun, who did have a few moments in the 4-0 loss on Wednesday. She does have pace. Agbegun now knocks it inside. Alagaris lost it, trying to combine with her midfield. Here's Dunn now. Nice quick little touch from Dunn. It's opened up here for Andy Sullivan. Tries to go over the top to Lloyd, but off her line is Tallman. Morgan Bryant. And she was able to join in the attack a little bit more on Wednesday, with Andy Sullivan doing a little bit more of the balancing.
And perhaps the fact that Switzerland wasn't mounting much of their own.
Threaded pass there to Carly Lloyd, will use her strength. She's saying she was fouled. What a ball from Andy Sullivan, who put it through the eye of a needle to Carly Lloyd.
Well, look, I think Andy Sullivan is a special player. The vision and the technique just to slip that between, as you said, two defenders, and she's getting hung all over there. And that's Calagaris going 1v1 with the reigning World Player of the Year, and she doesn't get the call. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. What is beautiful about that is Andy Sullivan's pass that penetrates, beats a line, puts Carly Lloyd in, and ultimately should have been a call.
So go all the way back to Ashlyn Harris, plays for the Orlando Pride in the NWSL. Done. Rahel Kivich stepped in to win it back. 20 is the goal scorer, Moron. This is Laura Dickenman battling away. Plays for Wolfsburg in Germany, where won a Champions League there. O'Hara getting the start today after coming off the bench on Wednesday and producing some fine moments. Allie Long now, second consecutive game as a center back. And it's Dickenman who has been all over the place. Look at this clipped in ball here that is dangerous, but speared out of the air by Allie Long. But what one player can do for a team.
Yeah. And I'm just watching here, and it looks like Switzerland is in a 4-5-1, and we weren't sure when we got that initial starting lineup how they were going to set themselves up defensively.
Crystal Dunn, nice step over there. She's created some space for herself. It's still Dunn, slaloming through Swiss defenders. O'Hara. Offside flag is up on O'Hara. Let's go down to Jenny Taft.
Well, something that was so unique that we heard from this Swiss team was just about Coach Tecklenburg. When we spoke to Laura Dickenman yesterday, she said that she really brought a German mentality to our group that we needed. We can almost be too nice. Our personality is too laid back, but she said that German mentality and the fact that she believed in us, it changed everything, and they are so lucky to have her. They've really bought into her system.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, Switzerland certainly benefiting from a coach that played 125 times for Germany, scoring 27 goals in 3 World Cups, and they've really seen a bump in the fact that more young women are playing the game in Switzerland. And they're looking up to players like this. Dickenmann now.
Well, I thought it was hilarious when they were describing when Martina came in and she looked at the players and she said, listen, you guys have quality here. And they looked at each other going, who, us? We have quality? They didn't even believe it. They're so passive. And the way she stepped up their game, as Jenny talked about, has changed this program. I mean, now that they've qualified for big tournaments, and it's just that's change in mentality. And then the development, as you say, Glenn, to the youth program that is changing the future of this program. The fact that they're ranked 15th in the world.
Shooting opportunity. It's blocked by Long. It's Marone again, the goal scorer, and her shot goes off the mark. It'll be a goal kick to Ashlyn Harris in the U.S. Well done. Let's go back to the goal from the 19-year-old that was a bit of a stunner here in Minneapolis.
And this is a nice ball that Dickenmann runs on, decides to hit it first time, and Ashlyn puts that, just parries it into a dangerous place and can't get up for the second.
Crystal Dunn here as we come back to action. Shot parried away again by Tallman. Stood up to the finish from the Pacey Dunn.
And it's just end-to-end right now. This is wide open for the U.S. Switzerland is stretched out. It's 2 passes and Dunn is in. Tries to go near post with it, but Tallman has it covered.
Beautifully weighted pass from Carly Lloyd out of midfield. Morgan Bryan comes to take it. Plays with the Houston Dash today, appearing for the 60th time. Will drive it in. Tobin Heath. Back to Becky Sauerbrunn. And there's an offside flag up. And it'll be a free kick for Switzerland now.
And on that previous chance, you said it, Glenn, Carly's pulling out into the midfield, and who's she playing it to? Dunn, reestablishing that height up top. So that interchangeability between those 2 players is the fluidity that Jill wants to see within this system.
Carly Lloyd now shaking one off in midfield. It's Kivich who stepped up there. And Casey Short. It'll be a goal kick now to Switzerland. The messaging has been a big piece of what Jill Ellis has mentioned. Without a doubt, she's made sure that there is opportunity and possibility, and you got to think that the players that weren't pulled into this camp, Allie, you being such a veteran of going into U.S. camps, are on the outside kind of looking and going, hey, there's something really interesting going on.
Yeah, it puts you in a difficult position, right? You're a little bit uncomfortable about the future, but I think it's also exciting, and for the players that are here, they were reinvigorated by this injection of positivity and players with a willingness and eagerness to learn and an appreciation for kind of the life and what this team can offer you. So, you know, they get to see that again, and there's excitement around it. And I think, as you said, if you're sitting at home, they know they're probably going to be coming into the next camp. So I think it's a good thing, and they're all embracing it.
Kivich will go back to Tallman. One of the more notable players not here, obviously Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, amongst others. Attack being led here out of midfield. Driving that ball forward was Bernauer, who did not play on Wednesday, appearing for the 60th time today. And that'll be a free kick. Morin, obviously, with a foul there on Kelly O'Hara.
No, but Short did very well on that last play, just to stay tight and pick that pass off. She could have tried to pull wide, in which case the slip pass would have been on, but that was a nice retreat by those back 3 and allowing those other players to recover and buy some time. And then here's Kelly O'Hara just picking her head up, and Marone coming in strong. Clear trip.
One of the great leaders, Becky Sauerbrunn, standing over this. 117th cap today, 31 years of age. Plays with FC Kansas City, has just been so dependable. That World Cup win, just amazing at the back. Alongside Julie Johnston, also not in this camp.
I mean, that back line was so ridiculously good in that World Cup and really allowed the U.S. to ultimately lift the trophy. I know you always say defense wins championships, and that was the case for the U.S. in terms of just holding the fort down to get them into the final when Carly Lloyd took over.
Speaking of taking over Lloyd, just splitting 2 now. Very motivated today. Lynn Williams now. He's had a couple of amazing weeks here, Lynn Williams. Debuting, scoring 49 seconds into her debut, and then previous to that winning the NWSL Cup with the Western New York Flash. Done. Tackled off the turn there.
And the U.S. is getting pretty narrow in their attack. All the numbers are funneling centrally. They've got to maintain some width and attack down these flanks, especially against a 5-back.
This hit cross from Dunn. It'll be a goal kick to Switzerland. Hey, don't forget, every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. to noon Eastern, and it's only on FS1. So Gael Tallman now, who appears today for the 49th time. Played for Verona in Italy. It's amazing some of the stories of players going overseas, like yourself, Ollie, where you played in France with Lyon, and how those experiences can broaden your perspective on the game.
And I think enhance it ultimately. I mean, you have Haran, who played for PSG, and Andy Sullivan trained with Lyon for a week.
Crystal Dunn, Tallman's off her line.
And in fact, Andy Sullivan trained with when Lauren Dickerman was there, and she was the only player who spoke English, and Andy said it was a godsend because she was the only one she could talk to. Everyone else on the team was fearful that Andy was coming in to take their spot, but Dickerman understood she was just there to train for a week in preparation for going into the U20s.
Nice interplay between Lord and Morgan Bryan. You add Morgan Bryan to that equation of how that World Cup turned after some U.S. yellow cards prevented players that were starters to play. Morgan Bryan stepped in and established that freedom and ability for Lloyd to push a little higher up the field, and the rest is history.
I mean, what a blessing that ultimately was. And I think, you know, with this system, potentially the 3-5-2, the U.S. can finally find someone to settle in on a number 10 spot. And I asked Jill about that. You know, are you searching for one actively? Because to me, as a former number 10, I crave one. I love one. I want to see one. And right now it's kind of a 10 by committee, and she's seeing who can step up and own that spot. Is it a Crystal Dunn who has qualities to play there, but perhaps not the final ball? Is it a Mallory Pugh who has a great final ball and great separation ability? Is it a Carly Lloyd coming back? Is it a Kristen Press? You know, there's options there, but perhaps no true 10 right now in the mix.
Some might say to you, does it have to be defined?
And I think that's a great question, and it seems like the answer is no right now for this group, and you can't force it. If you don't have one, you can't force it. And so it can be by committee based on, you know, the opponent you're seeing, and that perhaps is the evolution, you know, for this team.
Casey Short tries to bend it towards the corner flag. The run was made by Lynn Williams. So much influence now coming from NWSL teams, and Jill Ellis has told us how wonderful it is for her to be able to go around the country and watch these girls and these women in game competition.
Well, that's what the NWSL is for. It's not just to provide a place for players to play past their collegiate careers. It's to prepare them to come into the national team and make a splash. And I love that she's calling in 8 players. And by the way, her hands are tied by the CBA. She can only call in 8 professionals that are not currently under contract with the national team. So you can bet that she's going to be looking at other players in the next camp and along the way.
Ellie Long now. Under a bit of pressure from Zender. Again, we mentioned the amount of caps that are being earned by newbies here. Let's look at the uncapped players. Here's the ones that made the debut on Wednesday. You can see there. And we're expecting, who knows, today that maybe somebody else will, in big fashion, earn their first ever cap for the U.S. women's national team. 23 minutes in, Glenn Davis alongside Allie Wagner. Jenny Taft, native of Minnesota in this area. The 3rd member of our team.
And unfortunately a Viking fan. I'll let that one slide though.
She gave us some good hints about restaurants and food to eat in the Minneapolis area. Over the top this one goes. It's towards Zender. Zender has won it back for Switzerland now. Carly Lloyd has already got her head up here. the spring, Lynn Williams.
And the U.S. was a bit slow in solving that because initially the pressure was just Sender trying to force them in that corner. Short to make a play, but Short was too slow on it. It allowed Switzerland to tie in defensively and win that ball.
Boyd getting more space in the middle of the field. That one not weighted heavy enough. Was trying to bring in O'Hara. Here's Sauerbrunn now. Quickly to the feet of Sullivan, who has been playing mature beyond her years. Current college player at Stanford. Nice combination play here. O'Hara. Williams at the top of the box. Bryan will clip a ball, trying to just drop it over the head of Abe. Heath had made the run. Are you seeing players with a little bit more expression and freedom now in these games?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I think so. And the green light to go to get out of your number 7 spot, your number 11 spot, you know, movement away from those titles and playing to your strengths. But right now, I think the U.S. is a bit flustered by this 5-man back line, and they're having difficulty breaking it down. It just needs to be a bit quicker in the transition game offensively. They're so good at defensively and pressing for those regains. Now they need to implement that same quickness on the attack.
Lloyd will try a long hit. What a goal from Lloyd! This is spectacular. It's hit with no regard for humanity. Blasts it into the upper corner. It is now 1-1.
Or you just do that. If you're not going to get behind him, take an outside shot. What is this, 40 yards out? And that's Sullivan. Just a nice 1-2. I mean, look at this movement off the ball. A little triangle play there. And Carly Lloyd, I mean, she's a good 10 yards, 7 yards off that top of the circle of the 18. Brilliant strike. And look at this triangle. I love this view of it, this layoff, that first time layoff. And I believe that's Kelly O'Hara, who then reestablishes with, like she can get the ball back, but Carly Lloyd says, no, this is mine. And then laces that upper V.
Absolutely searing, smashed-in ball from Carly Lloyd. Over the top is Dickenman now. Be careful as Casey Short gets there. Lloyd picks up goal number 95. The captain, Tobin Heath. Williams got dragged down off the ball. The 2015 FIFA World Player of the Year just reminded Minneapolis she's here today. Bryan, Lloyd. Aquagun got a tackle in. Player still down right now, and the shot will go wide to the right of Tallman. Margaret Domke was looking at the player that was down in Calagaris.
And here's Williams. No pressure on her. Why not have a go? Tries to bend that in that near post spot, but Tallman has it covered ultimately. But the U.S. is having trouble getting in behind. So why not take some of those outside shots if Switzerland is not going to step to you, put pressure on you? And I think the U.S. has done a nice job. And look at that blood.
Viola Calagaris, only earning her 3rd cap today, plays for Young Boys in Switzerland, is a member of the under-19 team. Obviously cut here.
And Dunn was offside and was trying to pull herself back on, and you can just see it's a blind collision.
So for the moment, Switzerland playing with a complement of 10. 28th minute, 1-1. We've seen a spectacular goal from Carly Lloyd. We've seen a goal from a 19-year-old Maron of Switzerland. 20,000 plus fans on hand here at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota for this international friendly. First time back for the U.S. here in Minnesota in 10 years. They played many times in Blaine, Minnesota, at the sports center there, the National Sports Center. But it's obviously a hotbed here. Minnesota has a women's team in the college game. Of course, an NASL team and a Major League Soccer team coming down the road here. So wonderful hotbed of soccer around the country. Added to the list of all the other great cities that support the game of soccer here in Minnesota.
And I think the U.S. has done a very nice job of playing in front of that back line, in the seams internally in the center of the park. Now it's time to loosen it up a bit with some more direct balls. As much as we want them to play possession, as much as Jill wants them to play possession, these balls need to be sent.
There's your direct ball on cue there, but it's overhit. You saw Kelly O'Hara take off and cut inside and then bend her run towards goal.
And Tallman's good off her line, but sometimes she gets caught. And here's a look at the goal right here. Just a nice little triangle. Carly Lloyd has no pressure on her whatsoever. That ball's hopping up for her. It allows her to hit a nice half volley. Well, more than nice. A ridiculous strike on frame, and Tallman has no chance at that one.
From up here in the booth, that looked like a blurry orb, so I don't know what it looked like to Gael Tallman.
That's just your stigmatism in your eye.
Goes back to Allie Long now. Speaking of Allie Long, second consecutive game as a center back. Your thoughts on her playing there?
I think all great thus far, but I don't think she's been challenged defensively yet. I think offensively, the way she can set play and play those penetrating passes is a real positive and upside potential for her in that role. And a versatility, you know, giving Jill Ellis ability to switch in the flow of play.
Jenny Taft with more on Allie Long. Jenny.
Well, it was great, guys. Jill Ellis told us she is looking to see possibly that quarterback in that position with Allie Long. And I loved what Allie said to us. If I was to be mad at Jill for trying me in this new role, I would be going against everything I stand for as a player. Because in my past, if I've been challenged by playing with boys, playing new positions, that's when I've grown. So I need to use this opportunity to just grow as an overall player.
She very much reiterated wanting to stretch her versatility to the point where she picked out some other U.S. players that could play multi-roles, and that's something she wanted to add to her repertoire.
Yeah, but you know, when she was first told and she got that call, there's a bit of oh, you're going to do what?
Take me out of the comfort zone.
Yep. And then you start to process it and say, okay, I can do this.
It's like saying to a poor center back that doesn't move that well, hey, you're playing outside back today.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Glenn?
Not much. Zender trying to spin her way out of there. There's Tobin Heath to win it back. Now it's Casey Short. Knocks it back inside to the aforementioned Allie Long. What a story she is. Late bloomer on the national team, now 29 years of age. Carly Lloyd. Crystal Dunn. She's isolated one-on-one. Here's Dunn. Backing in defenders. She gets stood up. Bryan now. With a wonderful ball from Morgan Bryan. O'Hara will clip it in. It's headed away by Abe. Morgan Bryan looking extremely sharp on the ball here today. There's Bryan again showing up on the far side of the field. Quick turn from Heath. Dickenman, great work to win it back. There's nothing in front of Moran now. She's going to have to go home to her goalkeeper, Tael Gallman. Tallman now. It's Kuster who tried to head it forward. And with the absence of players, Martina Voss-Tecklinger made it very clear to us that, look, we have to play very differently against this U.S. team. Williams squares it back. It's cleared by Abe. And like flipping a switch, the tempo goes up.
And Carly Lloyd just pounces on this free ball. Williams is sitting nicely between that outside back and the center back. And that is the right idea, right pass. But good recovery from Switzerland there. Something they didn't do great on Wednesday night was tracking runners in the box, but that was a nice recovery work from all of them on that back line.
Gallagher Harris has come back in for Switzerland. Here's the cross off the corner. It's short, and she'll miss hit it off the outside of her foot. It'll be a goal kick to Gael Tallman and Switzerland. And Tallman now is taking a seat here. Looks like she might be in a little bit of trouble.
So,
she's been under fire all 33 minutes thus far. And she's one of those active goalkeepers, always off her line, snuffing out those through passes, and she likes to come fishing for balls that are whipped in. So she's one of those active goalkeepers who owns her box.
Janaea Mikkel is the backup goalkeeper, plays for FC Basel. Look and see Tallman on this corner here.
And she's trying to get low to see the ball there. I don't see much.
She's definitely been under siege here in both of these games. Well, Major League Soccer, we all know today is decision day. Coming up next, the LA Galaxy will take on FC Dallas. Catch all the action. It's next on FS1. FC Dallas trying to win the Supporters Shield, and of course everybody wanting to go into the playoffs on a good high and with some good momentum. That's one you're not going to want to miss. FC Dallas and the LA Galaxy. Speaking of playmakers, big blow to FC Dallas and Mauro Diaz going down, out for the rest of the playoffs, and FC Dallas finds ways to get it done.
Well, maybe that speaks to your point about do you need to force a number 10 or a playmaker type? If you can do it by committee, maybe you're better off.
FC Dallas has found ways definitely to do it by committee. Here's O'Hara. Was switched up on the left side of the field with Tobin Heath now. She had a wonderful assist to Kristen Press on Wednesday for goal number 3 in the ultimate 4-0 win. Driven in towards the near post. Dickenman got ahead on it. O'Hara now. She'll put it back into the box. The touch from Allie Long, who loves to get in there on set pieces. Didn't make the best of contact on it.
And that's a great reservice by Kelly O'Hara. The ball pops out to her. The initial ball is won well by Dickenman. And Switzerland's got to fire at this. You got to put pressure on O'Hara there, and you've got to stay with your players that your man marked up against. Abe gets beat by Long to that near post, and Long just doesn't do well with it. All of Long's goals thus far in her career for the U.S. Women's National Team have come off of her head. So if that one was flight a bit higher, perhaps it's a different result.
6 goals, 2 assists for Portland in this 2016 NWSL season. Got her first and second goals with the national team against Colombia. That was back on April 6th. Been a quick rise for Allie Long with the national team. Crystal Dunn, speaking of her rise. Cross is blocked, another corner for the United States now in the 37th minute. Dunn is always so active here.
And Switzerland's so good in the air. They've got very tall players, so the U.S. has got to mix it up right now. Perhaps a near post driven ball, something to change up these flighted balls.
Well, speaking of mix it up, they do. They'll play a short one to Sauerbrunn. Hang it up in there. It was Carly Lloyd who got ahead on it. Zender now will knock it inside to Dickenman, and they've got some players making runs in front of the ball here. Dickenman with a great ball back to Zender now. It's basically a 4 against 4. Big switch of play, and O'Hara is there defensively. It's Heath now. It was a promising posture going forward for Switzerland.
It was, and that was all Dickenman, right? The flow of play, she's dragging it inside, and then she kicks it back out wide, and that's what launches that attack, but ultimately a poor final ball. Just a bit more patience from Switzerland as they get up there. I know they're not getting up there often. When they do, in fact, take your time, connect those passes, don't be hasty.
Bryant, feed it Dunn. Oh, Dunn tried to quick little snap pass there, and boy, that got off her foot very quickly to Williams and almost picked her out.
She's been very good in that seam, and when she's been up top as well. So I think Dunn has had a bright start, and I like where Williams is. The way she toys with where she is on that line, she's always been an option in this first half, off the shoulder of those backs, whether they slip it into her or they play her back to goal.
39th minute. The United States and Switzerland tied at 1 this international friendly. Dunn, beautiful job to hold it up here and take some pressure from a defender. Short of the Chicago Red Stars, back to Ashlyn Harris. Sauerbrunn had the head up. And we'd be remiss not to send our best wishes to Lauren Holiday, who has come out of surgery, your former teammate, Allie.
And by all accounts, the surgery went well, and Lauren was up and walking around, and it's just a good reminder of what's really important. Soccer's just a game, and you just wish the best for these wonderful people.
What a career Lauren Holiday had. This ball knocked into the box. It'll go all the way back to Harris.
And perhaps ended a bit too short, right, Glenn? But another reminder of, life's too short.
Yeah, it's bigger than a game, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Lloyd lays it on. Dunn looks like she's in an offside position. The flag comes up. Williams was onside, but Dunn left just that little bit too early. But boy, she is so she fractures lines of opponents with this speed and pace.
She's a pest, but Carly Lloyd has been sitting in this seam so well today, and her awareness, the quickness with which she's playing, has broken things open for the U.S., and that looks understated, but everything about this is beautiful. Where Carly is, where her ability to turn quickly and slip that ball in, and Dunn's just on that restraining line, hounding, ready to break in at any moment. All positive signs from this group.
Jill Ellis has had some wonderful quotes and some wonderful messages to her team. One of the ones I really love is, quote, "You're renting space. It's not a guarantee. It's a rental property." It's in talking about having a role and a position on the U.S. women's national team.
And that's the way it should be. It's the way it should be.
You were a renter for a long time, over 100 caps worth of renting.
Maybe some have a longer lease than they should.
Tobin Heath knocked it inside. I think all those caps were earned by Allie Wagner. Out wide it goes here. Here's O'Hara now. She's doubled up there. Ankagun coming back defensively there. And it'll be a throw into Switzerland. They're ranked 8th in UEFA. Got to the round of 16 of the World Cup. They had that 10-1 win against Ecuador at BC Place in Vancouver. Most of those goals coming in the second half during the World Cup. They advanced as a third-place team, had the dubious task of playing Canada, and in front of a big crowd got beat 1-0. So it was progress for Switzerland. Williams, Dunn making progress off the post from Crystal Dunn. Here's Lloyd at the top of the box. Shot is cleared. Chalagaris got in front of it, and there'll be a foul on O'Hara. A little bit of pinball wizardry here in this sequence.
And another exciting attack from the U.S. and who? Crystal Dunn is a part of it. This little ball over the top, that's Becky Sauerbrunn continuing that run from the center back position, and Dunn finds her way to the near post. That is a difficult angle to try to score from, but Crystal with that quick release is able to get that shot off and finds its way to that near post. I don't think there's another player on the U.S. team has hit more posts than Crystal Dunn.
So I take you back to that goal to open up the NWSL final where she went wide, had really no angle, and somehow found a way to hit an empty net with the goalkeeper out.
That was a ridiculous play, and one I remember watching it going, the timing, the ability to place that. So many players would take an extra touch, ruin their angle with that touch, but she just had the vision and the ability to execute.
That was the start of the NWSL final that ultimately led to the Western New York Flash almost stealing it.
Yeah, perhaps.
Lynn Williams becoming the star.
Oh, yeah. And it's just Lloyd closing down, but Dickerman is so good beating players and trying to get cut in front of her to eliminate her pass of the ball, but Lloyd has nothing of that.
So a rare free kick here for Switzerland now. They've had an opportunity to load the box up. Dickerman is creeping forward down the left side here.
And I would just play her, let her go 1v1.
Bernauer will try to go for goal. Maybe saw Ashlyn Harris off her line and might have saw something, but it looked like Harris had a beat on it all the way.
Yeah, wasted opportunity from Switzerland. And if you're only going to venture into the attacking third, 5-6 times and a half, you've got to take advantage of those set pieces.
Sauerbrunn eliminated Dickin on the offside flag is up on Williams, who was going to chest it down to Carly Lloyd, who got right next to her.
That was one thing that Jill Ellis was really impressed with Lynn Williams in that initial game, was her ability back to goal to chest that ball down to her teammates. And here's Becky Sauerbrunn just picking her head up, and Lynn Williams too eager. She thinks she's going to serve it on that initial touch, when in fact she doesn't, and Switzerland does a good job holding their line to pull her off.
And WSL MVP and Golden Boot winner, those two awards seemingly going hand in hand every year. What a spectacular season she's had, and what a great find. Really took advantage of her opportunity coming in at halftime to get her first cap, and scored 49 seconds in, pouncing on a Swiss mistake.
Look, so many times you think about the national team and how they play opponents that are lesser teams.
Oh, Lloyd with a wonderful move here. Still Lloyd. She is so sharp today. Sauerbrunn stepping up. Done. Sauerbrunn continues into the attack. Free kick US. '45th minute here.
And this is a great spot for the US. A lot of traffic can be reined in right in front of Tallman. In the game on Wednesday, when it was about 30 yards out or so, Switzerland pulled their line up trying to catch the U.S. offside. We'll see if they do the same here.
O'Brien runs over it. Tobin Heath's ball is deflected. Ali Long was backing in on Tallman. There is Tobin Heath. Header from Williams, and Tallman will get there. So it's a strong effort here from Switzerland. 1-1 still. With one hand, and it looked like Ali Long might have fouled Tallman in goal. No call. It's a little bit more precarious than it did the first time we looked at it. It's headed back by Abe. Kalagaris gave it away. And here's Carly Lloyd. She has gotten a ton of the ball here tonight. Another wonderful pass from Lloyd. O'Hara. Dunn and Williams in the box. O'Hara to the back post. Williams can't get ahead on it. Tantalizing over the head of Lynn Williams. Dunn peeling off. Tallman will run over it. Goal kick Switzerland.
Kelly O'Hara has been so active on the right flank for the U.S. She's been getting in time and time again, and this is a nice ball. It was initially played by Lloyd. And O'Hara has all the time to pick up her head and try to pick out Lynn Williams, who's unmarked on that back post. That's poor marking by Switzerland. They send two to the near post. No one stays with Lynn Williams, and she's in if this connects.
Sauerbrunn now. It's Crystal Dunn. And it comes towards Heath. She can't get there. Put a bow on this first half, Allie.
I think it was a slow start in terms of the final third for the U.S., but they found their way into creating chances. Very good possession in the backs and into the midfield, and I love the seams in the pockets that Lloyd has been sitting in, that Sullivan has been penetrating with, that O'Hara has been finding. I think the interchangeability, the movement, everything has been great for the U.S. They've been a bit vulnerable on the counter, but Switzerland's been stronger than they were on Wednesday, and largely that's because of Dickinman and her ability, her vision to play players in and to relieve pressure when necessary.
Switzerland with a free kick here, and getting a chance to just put this into the box and see what happens here at the end of the first half. It's headed away by Ali Long. Good header there. Crystal Dunn now trying to unleash this counterattack. She's gotten past one. She lays a good ball on. Williams is offside. It won't count if it goes in. with Crystal Dunn, how quickly the U.S. can break out. First half will come to an end here.
And with these chances, time and time again, you forget that it's still 1-1 and that this is an even match right now.
Moran, the goal scorer for Switzerland. Carly Lloyd with the blast for the United States. 1-1 here at the half. Coming up, we'll send you back to StubHub Center where Rob Stone, Alexi Lalas, Tony DeChico will break down the first 45 minutes and preview MLS Decision Day. What a day in Minneapolis. 20,000 plus here at US Bank Stadium.